Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My time it is 12:24 GMT plus 2. Um, Welcome to another market breakdown. Today being the 16th of August 2023. So we're going to look at the pound, this being the London session market update. And just I think 4 hours ago we got a release of the CPI, of which it's the consumer price index, of which today I'd like us to look at its relationship with the pound, basically try to draw one simple conclusion from that. So basically, what is the CPI? I have this here, CPI versus GBP, or the Great British Pound. CPI, it is the consumer price index, which basically measures the changes in prices of goods and services within a particular country, this time around being the UK. So what normally happens is when the consumer price index goes up, the central bank has to match that with interest rates. Now we know that interest rates are a stimulus to the economy. If they're raising there's a rise in interest rates that is good for the economy but bad for the individual, because if you're borrowing money from the bank, that means you have to pay more in the form of interest. However, um, today we're focusing on the CPI, a conclusion that we drew today by looking at the news portal and comparing historic data of the CPI versus the pound. What we realized was that overall, when the CPI decreases in value, the pound goes the opposite direction. So there's a negative correlation here. What do I mean by that? So here's the news release for today. So what happens is we've got a value of 6.8 as today's actual, when last time's value was 7.9. But let us look at the historic data from the 22nd of March 2023 here. What we see is that the value of the CPI has been decreasing, right? So let us see how the pound was reacting to that. If we look at where is the 22nd, here's the CPI at the 23rd of March earlier this year, 23,323. So we saw an increase from then up until today, because here is March and today's CPI is there. So we saw an increase in, maybe let me stretch that further, an increase in the value of the pound in general. Now, there are other factors maybe that have been responsible for this. Could be the US dollar, for this slight move to the downside. Could be the US dollar, because this is GBP USD, which involves the US dollar. However, I'd also like us to see what we are talking about. So today's inflation rate was lower than the previous month, right? Let us look at what happened today. So this is 8 a.m. when this news were released today, and look at that big push to the upside. So when inflation, when the CPI drops, the currency value appreciates. That is in the case of the UK. Now there are other factors that might come into play here, but I just wanted to show you how you can maybe teach yourself how to analyze the news. It is not rocket science, trust me. It gets easier as you go on with it. So today's setup, it's on the, I'm going to look at 4 hour. It's on the GBP USD. So as you can see, we've been having bearish order flow, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, lower low, lower high, lower low. So I'd say the major lower low and lower high is here. So I'm looking for a selling opportunity. So if you remember, when we are looking at a bearish market, normally we're looking at this, an impulsive push to the downside and a corrective move that's going to be maybe above your 50% fib level, and then we're expecting a continuation to the downside in the same direction as the preceding trend in that manner, right? So with that said, I had 1.27550 as my area of interest after reaction to this supply level. So I wanted to see the market close below 1.27550, which it did. So right now I'm going to step to down to a 15-minute time frame to see where I can make an entry in this market. So I'm just gonna wait for the market to come back to these highs right here, and I'm gonna put my stop loss above. Maybe let me make it 15 pips stop loss. And then in terms of my target, let me get rid of the CPI today. In terms of my target, I am going to target this low. And remember, with us, as soon as you get a risk reward ratio of a 1:5, you are good to go. In this case, we've got a risk reward ratio of 1:8, which is very good. So yeah, I think this is the trade that we can finally commit to this morning, based on the news of the CPI news. So you can also target this lows of 1.25850. Yep. And maybe put my stop. Yeah. Yeah. So I've finally came up with a 1:7 setup. I'm gonna save the screenshot, and we're gonna see how it moves towards the United States session later on at 3 p.m. today. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was insightful. Do leave comments in the comment section if there's something that you didn't understand, or something that you, or any type of value that you came up with. With that said, see you on the US session. Cheers.